Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mini Books Podcast with your host Gloria and Rogan, and today we are excited to dive into Special Book with you. We picked this one because it has really important lessons to share and we can't wait to talk about them. So let's get started.
All right, ready to dive in.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Today we're cracking open The Rules of Work by Richard Templar. And let me tell you,
Oh, this one's a good one.
this isn't your typical, be a team player kind of work advice.
Right.
This is like the playbook they don't give you on your first day.
Yeah, it's about those unwritten rules, the ones nobody really talks about.
Exactly. And Templar, he just kind of cuts through all the BS.
Yeah, he does.
He really makes you think differently about how you're perceived at work,
Absolutely, it's all about strategy.
Like one of the things that really stuck with me was this idea, he calls it acting one step ahead.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So it's like you're not just doing your job,
Right.
you're presenting yourself like you're already at that next level.
Exactly. You're dressing for the role you want, not the role you have. Speaking up in meetings like you've got the answers.
Right.
It's about embodying that next step.
Totally.
And it's not about being fake. It's about, aligning your actions, your image with where you want to go.
It's like personal branding before personal branding was a thing,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, he even has this kind of funny story about practicing your manager's walk.
Oh, yeah.
Like that confident stride down the hallway.
It seems silly, but it makes a difference.
It does. It's those little things, right? Those subtle cues that people pick up on.
It's all about perception.
Exactly. And I'm thinking back to, like, when I was starting out.
Oh, I have so many stories.
Right. And I remember there was this one colleague. She was incredibly ambitious, and she wasn't even in management yet. But the way she carried herself, the way she spoke in meetings, everyone just assumed she was going places.
So she got it. She understood the assignment.
She did. And it wasn't being arrogant. It was just this air of confidence. Like, I belong here. I'm going places.
That's it. That's exactly it.
So we're projecting the right image.
Right.
But then Templar, he throws another curveball.
Oh, there are so many good ones in this book.
He's like, okay, but you got to understand the unspoken rules of the workplace, too.
Oh, yes. This is huge.
Like this whole other layer of navigating the office,
It's like this hidden language everyone's speaking.
And he has this great anecdote, right, about the vacation schedule at this one company.
Okay, yeah. I think I remember this one.
So you think it'd be like HR or the CEO or someone who decides when people can take vacation, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But no.
Who was it?
It was the Swiss translator.
No way.
I know, right?
Wow. Okay, so that proves his point. You can't just assume, you have to observe.
Exactly.
Who has the power? Who's really calling the shot?
Right. And sometimes it's not the person with the biggest title or the corner office.
It's about who's really got their finger on the pulse,
Totally. And that's why I think Templar stresses observation so much. Like really paying attention to how things actually work.
Absolutely. You got to be a student of the environment.
Yeah, and figure out who gets listened to, who seems to know how to get things done.
Yeah.
Even like whose office supplies magically get refilled first,
Oh, absolutely. That's a telltale sign right there.
Right. Little clues everywhere.
It's like detective work, but for your career.
Exactly. Or, Templar's point is you might not like all the unwritten rules.
Right.
But knowing what they are, that gives you power. It lets you decide how you want to play the game.
You're not just a pawn. You can make strategic moves.
Exactly. It's about knowing how to play the game smart.
Exactly. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but you got to be aware.
All right. So then Templar takes this whole thing to another level.
Oh, yeah.
He starts talking about having your own, code of conduct.
Interesting.
Almost like an ethical checklist for, the ambitious person.
I like that.
Because it's easy to get caught up in the whole got to get ahead mentality, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to lose sight of what's important.
But Templar, he's like, hold on a second.
Got to check yourself.
Yeah. Are you willing to, sacrifice everything else?
Right. For that promotion, for that raise.
Exactly. Your health, your relationships.
It's a slippery slope.
It is. And he's not afraid to, call you out on it.
Yeah. He's got some tough love in this book.
He does. One of his rules is, I will not work evenings or weekends unless it's a genuine emergency.
Love that.
Right. Another one, and this one, it hit me hard. He's like, I will put my family first at all times.
That's a big one. It's so easy to let work take over.
It is, especially these days. You know, with everyone always connected.
Always on, always available. It's exhausting.
It is. And I think Templar, he's reminding us, success isn't just about climbing the ladder.
It's about the whole picture.
It's about living a good life on your own terms.
Exactly. Finding that balance.
For sure. But, Templar's not all, deep thoughts and ethics.
Right.
He's got some really practical tips, too.
Okay,
He's a huge fan of giving compliments.
Oh, I love a good compliment.
Who doesn't? Right.
Sorry to interrupt you guys. If you're enjoying this podcast, then don't forget to check out our official YouTube channel, Mini Books Podcast, and subscribe for more great podcasts like this one.
But he's talking about, genuine, sincere compliments.
Okay, so not just oh, I like your shoes.
No, really noticing and acknowledging people's work.
Because that stuff matters. When someone notices your hard work, it means something.
It does. And Templar's point is, these little things, they add up over time.
Consistency is key, right? It's not about the grand gestures. It's about those small, everyday actions.
Exactly. It's like that little boost, right?
Totally. It shows you're paying attention. You value their contribution.
Exactly. And he has this other tip I love about asking questions instead of just complaining.
Oh, that's a good one. Give me an example.
So, say you're struggling with some new software at work.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of being like, ugh, this thing is a nightmare.
Right, which nobody wants to hear.
Exactly. You could say something like, hey, could someone show me how to use this new feature? I'm having trouble figuring it out.
Much better. You're framing it as a request for help, not just a complaint.
Right. So you're being proactive. You're a problem solver.
Exactly, which is always a good look.
Always. Okay, ready for a curveball?
Hit me.
Templar says, don't apologize unless you actually messed up.
Oh, interesting. So none of that, oh, sorry to bother you stuff.
Right. Obviously be polite, but
But don't diminish yourself.
exactly. Because constantly apologizing for things that aren't your fault.
It can make you seem insecure.
Right. You're not confident in your work or your decisions.
Exactly. Own your stuff. Be confident.
100%. And speaking of owning your stuff,
Yeah.
Templar's a big advocate for separating work life from personal life.
Oh, boundaries. Crucial.
So important. Don't let your job consume every aspect of your life.
It's about being present, right? When you're at work, be at work.
Totally. And then when you're off, actually disconnect.
Recharge those batteries.
Exactly. Even if you don't agree with every single thing Templar says,
Right.
I think his whole approach is really valuable.
It's about being strategic,
Yeah.
intentional.
Yeah. He's big on figuring out who the real key players are in your workplace.
The ones who actually get things done.
Exactly. Might not always be the ones with the fancy titles.
Nope. Got to look beyond the surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he talks about really understanding your company's mission statement.
Not just memorizing it, but internalizing it.
Right. Because if you can align your goals with the company's mission.
Then you're speaking their language.
Exactly. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive.
Let's hear those key takeaways.
Right. We've got acting one step ahead, mastering those unwritten rules.
Being aware of the game, but playing it ethically.
Yes. Aligning your ambitions with your values and taking those small but impactful actions consistently.
It's about the long game, not the quick win.
Exactly. And, maybe the most important takeaway of all,
What's that?
self-awareness.
Knowing yourself, what you want, what you're willing to do to get it.
And what you're not willing to sacrifice. So here's a final thought for you.
I'm ready.
If someone were watching you at work,
Okay, watching me.
what assumptions would they make about your goals, your values?
Ooh, that's a good one to ponder.
Right. It's
Yeah.
something to think about. And hey, if you want to dive deeper into all this,
Definitely pick up Templar's book, The Rules of Work.
it's full of great stuff. All right. Until next time, everyone, remember, knowledge is power, especially at work.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to dive into more book insights and key learnings, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Mini Books Podcast, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We're back every Sunday at 9 a.m. with new books and more to learn from. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and keep growing. Remember, this is Mini Books Podcast.